He's on all fours, head low, eyes fixed on something in the dirt. The other monkeys are moving around him, grooming, playing, arguing over space. But Punch isn't paying attention to any of that. He's watching the ground. His hand moves forward. Slow, deliberate. Then he grabs. Nothing. He tries again. This is Punch. And today, he's learning to hunt. If you've been following Punch's story, you know he didn't have a normal start. And if this is your first time hearing about him, here's what you need to know. He was born on July 26, 2024, at Ichikawa City Zoo and Botanical Gardens in Chiba, Japan. It should have been routine, but his mother didn't care for him. She left him. Within hours, the keepers found him alone, cold, vulnerable, fading. They had to choose, hand-rear him or let nature take its course. They chose to raise him. For months, Punch lived with humans. Bottle-fed, held, kept warm in blankets instead of fur. Safe, but isolated from everything that makes a macaque a macaque. He missed the body language, the dominant signals, the invisible rules that govern every interaction. On January 19, 2025, the keepers decided he was ready. They moved him back into the troop. That's when the real challenge started. Because everything a young macaque is supposed to learn from birth, how to move through the group without causing conflict, how to communicate without words, how to forage for the food that isn't provided by keepers, how to stay safe in a social structure that doesn't forgive mistakes. Punch missed all of it. He had to start from scratch. At 7 months old, he was starting lessons most macaques learn in their first weeks of life. And one of the first survival skills he needed? Finding food. Not the food the keepers bring. The food the troop finds on their own. Insects. Small, fast, hidden in bark and dead leaves. The kind that requires patience, precision, and practice. The kind that separates survival from thriving. Most young macaques learn this by watching their mothers. Punch didn't have that, but he could watch the others. It started like most days. The keepers arrive at dawn with food. The dominant monkeys eat first. Always. Then the mid-ranking adults. Then the juveniles. Punch stays near the edges, clutching his plush gorilla, watching. But then something shifts. A few older juveniles move away from the feeding area. They're looking for something else. Something the keepers didn't provide. One of them stops near a fallen log, crouches down, starts scratching at the bark with quick, practiced movements. Punch watches. The juvenile's hand moves fast, digging, scraping. Then success. Something small and dark wriggles between its fingers. The monkey eats it immediately, barely pausing before moving to the next spot. Punch takes a step closer. Then another. Another monkey is doing the same thing a few feet away, but in the dirt this time. Digging with both hands, pushing leaves aside, searching, hunting. This is new to him. He's seen the troop eat before, but this is different. This is active. This is work. This is finding food where there doesn't seem to be any. He sits down on the ground. The gorilla is still in one hand, its plush body warm from being held all morning. And he watches. He doesn't move for several minutes. Just watches. Then, slowly, carefully, he puts the gorilla down beside him. It sits there in the dirt, its black button eyes staring at nothing. And Punch stands up. Here's what most people miss about learning. It's not instant. It's repetition. It's watching the same movement over and over until your body understands what your eyes are seeing. It's failing. A lot. And trying again anyway. Punch is about to learn that the hard way. He moves toward the log where the first juvenile was digging. The juvenile has already moved on. Punch crouches down the way he saw the others do. Lowers his head. His hand reaches out, tentative, unsure. He scratches at the bark. Nothing happens. He tries again. Harder this time. His nails dig in, scraping. Small flakes of wood come loose, but there's nothing underneath. He's not digging deep enough. Not fast enough. Not in the right spot. He moves to a patch of dirt near the base of a tree. Same motion. Same result. Nothing. He sits back. Looks at his hands. Looks at the ground. There's dirt under his nails now. His fingers hurt from scraping, but he hasn't caught a single thing. Then he notices something. One of the older juveniles, not the biggest, but one of the more experienced ones, is using a different technique. Not just scratching randomly. Watching first. Staying still. Waiting for movement. And only then, when something shifts under the leaves, does the hand dart forward. Fast. Precise. Over in a second. Punch watches that monkey for a long time. Watches the stillness. Watches the waiting. watches the strike. Then he tries again. This time he's slower, more deliberate. He positions himself near a pile of leaves and dead grass. His hand hovers over the surface, and he waits. Nothing moves. He shifts to another spot. Waits again. His breathing is steady now. His body is still. For the first time since he entered the troop, he's not fidgeting, not looking around nervously. He's focused on something else entirely. Minutes pass. The other juveniles move around him, foraging in their own patterns. One of them comes close, glances at Punch, and moves on without interest. No aggression, no challenge, just indifference. And here's where the difference shows. Because this time, Punch isn't just copying the motion. He's copying the patience. He's copying the waiting. He's learning that hunting isn't about speed, it's about timing. Then, a flicker. Something small, almost invisible, shifts under the edge of a leaf. Punch's hand darts forward, and he catches it. It's small, so small you could barely see it if you weren't looking. A tiny insect, dark and wriggling, trapped between his thumb and forefinger. He brings it close to his face, examines it for a second, and then he eats it. He freezes. His jaw stops mid-chew. His eyes go wide. And for a moment, he just sits there, processing what just happened. Then he goes back to the same spot. Starts searching again. This is the moment. Not the first attempt. Not the frustration of failing over and over. This, the decision to keep going. The decision to try again, even when the first 20 attempts gave him nothing. That's what separates observation from learning. That's what separates trying from succeeding. And Punch just crossed that line. Over the next hour, he catches 3 more insects. None are easy. Most attempts fail. He digs where there's nothing. He waits by leaves that never move. But each time he succeeds, something shifts. He moves faster, digs deeper, watches longer before striking. And the other juveniles notice eventually. One glances over, sees Punch crouched in the dirt, watches for a moment, then moves on. No reaction, no aggression. Another passes by, comes within a few feet, pauses, looks at him, then continues searching. But that lack of reaction, that might be the most important thing that happened all day. Because in a troop, being ignored is sometimes better than being noticed. It means you're not a threat. You're not worth the effort to chase away. You're just another monkey, doing what monkeys do. And for Punch, that's progress. By late afternoon, the enclosure has settled into its usual rhythm. The dominant monkeys have claimed their preferred resting spots. The high perches, the shaded corners. The mid-ranking adults are scattered around, grooming each other in pairs. The juveniles are still playing, still foraging. And Punch is still near the log. He's not digging anymore. Not searching. Just sitting. The gorilla is back in his arms now, tucked under one elbow. But here's what's different. There's dirt under his nails. There are small scratches on his fingers from the bark. And if you watched him closely, you'd see him glance back at the log every few minutes. Like he's already planning his next attempt. He looks tired. The kind of tired that comes from focus, from effort, from pushing yourself to learn something that doesn't come naturally. But he also looks different. Calmer, maybe. More settled. Like he's found something to do that makes sense in a world that hasn't made much sense since he rejoined the troop. Learning a survival skill doesn't guarantee acceptance. It doesn't erase the months he spent away. It doesn't change the fact that he's still the smallest, the youngest, the one who doesn't quite fit yet. But it's a step. Because every skill he learns is one less reason for the troop to see him as different. One less gap between him and the others. And in a social group where survival depends on belonging, those gaps matter. The zoo posted an update that evening. A short video of Punch crouched near the dirt, his hand moving in that same careful, deliberate way. The comments came in fast. He's learning. He's trying so hard. Punch is doing his best. They're right. He is. And the fact that people around the world are watching him learn something as basic as finding food says something about how much he's had to overcome. But here's what the comments don't see. This is just one skill. One small piece of a much larger puzzle. There are dozens more he'll need to learn. How to read social cues that happen in fractions of a second. How to navigate the hierarchy without getting hurt. How to groom, play, communicate with a troop that doesn't remember he once lived with humans. Foraging is the easy part. It's physical. It's visible. It's something you can practice until you get it right. The hard part is still ahead. The part that involves understanding a social world he's only just beginning to see. Tomorrow, the keepers will bring food again. The troop will eat. The juveniles will forage, and Punch will be there, watching, trying, learning. But there's something else coming. Something that will test everything he's learned so far. Because learning to hunt insects is one thing. Learning to survive in a group where everyone already knows their place, where the rules are unspoken and the consequences are immediate, that's a different challenge entirely. If you want to see what happens next, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because Punch's story is far from over.